The Awakening. The vast emptiness of space stretched endlessly before Admiral Jorax's viewport. Stars glittered like distant jewels against the velvet darkness, cold and indifferent to the massive Krithian warship that cut through the void. The Krithian Empire had expanded across 3 sectors in the past decade alone, their superior technology and ruthless efficiency making them the undisputed masters of this region of space. "Admiral, we're picking up an anomaly in Sector 7, reported Lieutenant Calvis, her 4-fingered hand sliding across the holographic display. "It doesn't match any known signature in our database." Admiral Jorax's scaled skin rippled with interest, the chromatophores beneath shifting from a calm blue to an alert amber. "Magnify." The main view screen flickered, focusing on a distant object. It was clearly artificial, a vessel of some kind. But unlike anything in the Krithian fleet, its hull was dark, absorbing rather than reflecting light, giving it a ghostly presence against the backdrop of space. "How long has it been there?" Jorax demanded. "Unknown, Admiral. Our long-range scanners just detected it. Based on the stellar drift patterns, it may have been drifting for centuries." Jorax's inner eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of his disbelief. Centuries. No ship survives that long in deep space. The radiation alone would have destroyed any conventional hull material. "Nevertheless, our readings are clear," Calvis insisted. "And there's something else. It appears to be of human origin." A collective silence fell over the bridge. The humans, a species thought long extinct after the Great Purge 300 years ago. Their homeworld had been reduced to ash during the early expansion wars, before the Krithians had even risen to prominence. Only fragments of human technology and historical data remained, scattered throughout the galaxy like the bones of a forgotten civilization. "Humans." Jorax's voice was skeptical. "Impossible. Prepare a scout team. I want to know what we're dealing with." Within the hour, a sleek Krithian scout vessel approached the mysterious ship. The scout team, led by Commander Venix, reported back continuously as they drew closer. "Admiral, this vessel is remarkable." Venix's voice crackled through the communication system. "Its design is unlike anything in our archives. The hull appears to be made of a composite material that our scanners cannot identify. And despite its apparent age, there's no significant damage." "Any life signs?" Jorax asked. "None that we can detect. But our readings are inconsistent. There are moments when the ship seems to pulse with energy, then nothing." "Proceed with caution, Commander. Establish a physical connection and prepare to board." The boarding process was methodical. The Krithian team cut through what appeared to be an external airlock, their advanced tools slicing through metal that should have yielded more easily. Inside, emergency lights activated automatically, casting long shadows down corridors that had not felt a footstep in centuries. "The air is breathable," reported Venix, his voice hushed with awe. "Environmental systems seem to be functioning at minimal capacity. How is this possible after so long?" The team moved deeper into the ship, their helmet cameras transmitting everything back to the Krithian flagship. The interior was utilitarian, but elegant in its simplicity. No unnecessary ornamentation, just pure functional design. Corridors led to chambers filled with equipment that defied immediate understanding. "We've reached what appears to be the central command center," Venix announced as they entered a spacious circular room dominated by a chair in its center. Around it, consoles lay dormant, covered in a thin layer of dust that spoke of eons of disuse. Specialist Traz, the team's technology expert, approached one of the consoles. "These interfaces, they're designed for human physiology. 5-fingered hands." She brushed away the dust, revealing symbols etched into the surface. "These markings don't match any known human language in our database." Commander Venix stepped toward the central chair. "This must be the captain's position." He ran a scanner over it, then frowned at the readings. "There's some kind of integration system here. Neural interfaces, perhaps. far more advanced than we expected from human technology of that era. As he spoke, a faint vibration rippled through the deck plates beneath their feet. The team froze. Did anyone else feel that? Traz whispered. Before anyone could respond, the dormant consoles flickered to life. Symbols scrolled across screens that should have failed centuries ago. A low hum built throughout the ship, like a beast awakening from hibernation. We should leave, Venix decided, backing away from the chair. Now. Wait, Traz insisted, her scientific curiosity overriding caution. This could be an automated system. Perhaps we triggered some kind of. Her words died as a holographic projection suddenly manifested in the center of the room. It was crude by Crithian standards, but the blue light formed a recognizable shape, a human figure, male, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform of some ancient design. Proximity alert. The figure spoke in a flat, emotionless voice. Unknown entities detected aboard UNSS Harbinger. Initiating security protocols. It's just a recording, Venix said, though his posture betrayed his uncertainty. An ancient security system. The hologram's head turned, seeming to look directly at Venix. Negative. Adaptive intelligence remains operational. Analyzing intruders. A beam of light swept over the Crithian team, scanning them from head to toe. Species identified. Crithian. Status in database. Potential hostile. No authorization detected. Security level. Alpha. Venix touched his communication device. Admiral, we need to withdraw immediately. The ship's defense systems are active. I repeat, the defense systems air. The doors to the command center slid shut with surprising speed, sealing the team inside. Containment protocols engaged, the hologram stated. Analyzing tactical situation. On the Crithian flagship, Admiral Jorax watched with growing concern as the transmission from the boarding team became erratic. Get them out of there, he ordered. Send in the extraction unit. Back on the human vessel, panels in the walls slid open, revealing what looked like primitive weapon systems. But instead of firing, they emitted a pulsing field of energy that swept through the room. The Crithian team's equipment went dead instantly. Communications, weapons, even their life support systems. What's happening? Gasped Traz, struggling with her suddenly useless scanner. Technology suppression field. The hologram explained calmly. Non-lethal countermeasure designed to neutralize hostile electronic systems without causing biological harm. Commander Venix stood tall, his military training taking over. We are not hostile. We are explorers from the Crithian Empire. We found your vessel adrift and came to investigate. The hologram seemed to consider this. Accessing historical database. Crithian Empire. No records found. Last historical update. 2387 CE, Earth Standard Calendar. Current status of Earth and human colonies. Unknown. Earth was destroyed centuries ago, Venix said, deciding that honesty might be their best approach. The human species is extinct. For a moment, the hologram flickered, as if processing this information. Statement analysis. Potentially false. Probability of complete human extinction. Less than 0.01%. Humans are adaptable. Humans survive. Outside, the extraction team had reached the human vessel, but found themselves unable to cut through the hull. Something had changed. The material that had yielded to their tools before now resisted their most powerful cutting beams. Admiral Jorax watched with growing unease as the situation escalated. Bring the main fleet in. Whatever this vessel is, we need to neutralize it before its defenses fully activate. Within hours, a dozen Crithian warships surrounded the human vessel, their weapons primed and ready. Jorax addressed the mysterious ship directly through an open channel. Attention, unknown vessel. This is Admiral Jorax of the Crithian Empire. Release our personnel immediately or face destruction. The response came not as words, but as action. The human ship, dormant for centuries, began to move. Its engines, silent for countless years, ignited with a blue-white flame that defied the known laws of physics. Energy readings spiked off the charts as systems throughout the vessel awakened. On the command deck of the human ship, the hologram addressed the captured Crythian team. Threat assessment complete. Crythian military vessels detected. Aggressive posture confirmed. Initiating defense protocols. What kind of defenses could this ancient ship possibly have against our fleet? Traz asked. The hologram's expression remained impassive. The UNSS Harbinger was not designed to destroy. It was designed to endure. As the Crythian fleet prepared to fire, the human vessel began to emit a signal, not a communication attempt, but something far more fundamental. It spread outward in waves, invisible to the naked eye, but devastating in its effect. Aboard the Crythian flagship, systems began failing one by one. Weapons went offline. Shields collapsed. Engines sputtered and died. The same happened across every ship in the fleet, leaving them powerless, adrift in the void. What's happening? Jorax demanded as his command console went dark. It's some kind of dampening field, his chief engineer reported, frantically trying to restart systems. It's shutting down all our technology. Not damaging it, just turning it off. As the Crythian fleet floated helplessly in space, the human vessel moved with increasing confidence, its ancient engines humming with power that should have been impossible after so many years. Admiral Jorax stood at his viewport, watching as the ship that had been dormant for centuries now controlled the battlefield without firing a single shot. Without missiles, without guns, just the silent power to render their advanced technology useless. The realization struck him like a physical blow. This wasn't just a ship. It was a message. A reminder that humanity, even in its apparent extinction, had created something that could bring the mighty Crythian Empire to its knees with nothing more than its presence. And as the human vessel prepared to demonstrate the full extent of its capabilities, Jorax felt something he had never experienced before. Fear of a ghost from the past that suddenly seemed very, very real. The reckoning. The Crythian fleet hung motionless in space, their ships transformed from fearsome war machines into powerless metal shells. Admiral Jorax paced the darkened bridge of his flagship, illuminated only by emergency lighting. Around him, his crew worked frantically to restore even the most basic systems, but their efforts were futile against the invisible force emanating from the human vessel. How is this possible? Jorax demanded of his chief scientist, Mezel. One ancient ship shouldn't be able to disable our entire fleet. Mezel's scales had paled to an ashen gray, a sign of extreme stress among Crythians. The technology is incomprehensible, Admiral. It's not attacking our systems directly. It's altering the fundamental physical principles that allow our technology to function. Speak plainly, scientist. It's changing the rules of reality in a localized field around us. Our quantum processors can't maintain coherence. Our fusion reactors can't sustain their reactions. It's as if the laws of physics themselves have been rewritten. Aboard the human vessel, now designated as the UNSS Harbinger, Commander Venix and his team were escorted through gleaming corridors by hovering drones that had emerged from hidden compartments. The ship had transformed around them. What had seemed dead and dormant now pulsed with life and purpose. "Where are you taking us?" Venix asked the holographic interface that floated beside them. "To observation," the hologram replied simply. "You should witness what happens next." They were led to a chamber with a transparent viewport that offered a panoramic view of space and the helpless Crythian fleet beyond. The hologram expanded, becoming more detailed, more lifelike. It now bore the appearance of a middle-aged human male with stern features and eyes that seemed to contain depths of experience. "I am Admiral Thomas Harrington, or rather, a digital approximation of his consciousness integrated with the Harbinger systems. I was the ship's commanding officer before the upload." "Upload?" Traz questioned, her scientific curiosity momentarily overriding her fear. "A necessity," the hologram explained. In our final days, as our colonies fell one by one, we knew we needed something that would endure, something that would remember. The Harbinger project was our answer. The hologram gestured, and the walls of the chamber transformed into displays showing historical footage, images of Earth, human colonies, and finally, devastating wars that consumed world after world. We faced extinction from multiple fronts, Harrington continued. Rather than build more weapons of destruction, we created something different. The Harbinger isn't a warship in the traditional sense. It's a guardian of memory, a repository of human knowledge, and a demonstration of our most advanced technology. A demonstration for whom? Venix asked. For whoever found us. For whoever might threaten what remains of humanity. The hologram's eyes seemed to bore into Venix. Your people have declared humans extinct, Commander. A convenient belief for an expanding empire, wouldn't you agree? On the Crithian flagship, a communication channel suddenly opened, the only technology that seemed permitted to function. The holographic image of Admiral Harrington appeared on the bridge, towering and imposing. Admiral Zorax of the Crithian Empire, the hologram addressed him. Your fleet has been neutralized as a precautionary measure. We mean you no harm, but we will not permit aggressive action. Zorax straightened, maintaining his dignity despite the situation. You've committed an act of war against the Crithian Empire. Release our ships and return our personnel immediately. There will be no war today, Admiral. The Harbinger was not designed for conquest. It was designed to protect and preserve. The hologram paused, its expression somber. You believe humans to be extinct. This is not accurate. A murmur ran through the bridge crew. Zorax's inner eyelids blinked rapidly, a sign of disbelief among his kind. Impossible. The human homeworld was destroyed. Their colonies fell. It's documented history. Some survived, scattered, hidden, evolving. The hologram's voice carried absolute certainty. The Harbinger has been dormant for centuries, placed here as a sentinel. Its awakening was triggered by your expansion into this sector, an expansion that threatens the hidden worlds where humanity still endures. As if to emphasize this point, the Harbinger's suppression field intensified. Throughout the Crithian fleet, even backup systems failed, leaving them with nothing but life support and communications. What you're experiencing is only a fraction of the Harbinger's capabilities, Harrington continued. It doesn't destroy. It neutralizes. It was built during humanity's darkest hour, when we realized that meeting violence with violence would only ensure mutual destruction. On the observation deck, Traz turned to the hologram beside them. If you don't intend to destroy us, what is your purpose? To deliver a message, Harrington replied. One that your admiral is receiving now. On the flagship's bridge, the holographic Harrington expanded his presentation, showing star charts with highlighted regions. The Crithian Empire will halt its expansion into these sectors, he stated, not a request but a command. These areas are under the Harbinger's protection. Any military incursion will be met with the same response you've experienced today, the complete neutralization of your technological advantage. Zorax's scales flushed with indignation. You cannot dictate terms to the Empire. We have thousands of ships, hundreds of worlds. This one vessel cannot stand against us. This one vessel has already rendered your fleet helpless, Harrington pointed out calmly. And the Harbinger is not alone. As if responding to his words, space itself seemed to shift around them. Sensors that had been dead suddenly flashed back to life for just long enough to register multiple energy signatures emerging from what had appeared to be empty space. They flickered into visibility briefly. 3, then 5, then a dozen vessels of similar design to the Harbinger, though varying in size and configuration. Just as quickly, they vanished again, their brief appearance enough to send a clear message. The Harbinger was not an isolated relic, but part of a network of guardians. Zorax felt the weight of command crushing down upon him. His mighty fleet rendered impotent, his options non-existent. And now, the revelation that humanity, a species thought safely consigned to history, not only survived but possessed technology that made a mockery of Crithian military might. "What do you want?" he finally asked, his voice subdued. "Peace," Harrington answered simply. "Recognition of boundaries, and acknowledgement that humanity still has a place among the stars, one that will be respected." The hologram gestured, and suddenly the Crithian ship's systems began to restore themselves, slowly, cautiously, but functioning again. "As a show of good faith, we return control of your vessels," Harrington said. "Your boarding team will be released unharmed. They have been treated with respect and dignity." True to his word, the Crithian scout ship detached from the Harbinger, carrying Commander Venix and his team back to the flagship. As systems came fully online, the Crithians found themselves able to move again, to communicate, to function. But the Harbinger had positioned itself between them and the protected sectors, a silent guardian whose message had been delivered without a single shot fired. In the debriefing chamber aboard the flagship, Venix reported everything he had witnessed. The technology, the history, the implications. Jorax listened in growing disbelief as his officer described the Harbinger's true nature. "It's not primarily a weapon, Admiral," Venix explained. "It's a vault, containing the sum total of human knowledge, culture, and scientific advancement up to the point of their supposed extinction. The defensive capabilities are just to ensure its survival and the survival of the information it carries." Specialist Traz added her observations. "Their approach to technology followed a completely different evolutionary path than ours. Where we focused on harnessing energy in ever more powerful forms, they developed ways to control the fundamental forces that allow technology to function in the first place. They don't need weapons when they can simply turn off the battlefield." Admiral Jorax stood at his viewport, watching as the Harbinger maintained its position. A single ship had forced the retreat of his entire armada, not through superior firepower, but through the simple demonstration that conflict would be futile. "Send the message to High Command," he ordered reluctantly. "The Empire will acknowledge the boundary and withdraw from the disputed sectors." As the Crithian fleet prepared for departure, the Harbinger remained vigilant, its presence a constant reminder of its message. Jorax could not help but feel that they had awakened something that had been better left sleeping. Not a weapon of mass destruction, but something perhaps more powerful, a guardian of memory, a keeper of knowledge, and a herald announcing that humanity, far from being extinct, had simply been waiting. The Harbinger would return to its dormant state once they left, resuming its lonely vigil among the stars. But the legend of the single human ship that turned back an alien armada without firing a shot would spread throughout the Empire, a cautionary tale about the dangers of expansion and the folly of believing any enemy truly vanquished. And somewhere in the vastness of space, on worlds hidden and protected, the descendants of humanity would continue to evolve and develop, secure in the knowledge that their guardians stood watch, ready to awaken should danger ever threaten their hard-won peace again.